ready?
Yeah, let's go. Let's get it.
What's up, everybody? Tim Campbell and SeMonne Campbell back at you again.
Hello, everybody. I hope everybody had a good week so far. You know, we had a good week. Today we want to talk about baggage. That's the topic for today.
Yeah, we did a post not too long ago that dealt with things that sabotage marriage.
Right.
And one of those things that sabotage marriage, that where you're definitely headed to failure, is
Baggage.
unaddressed baggage in the relationship. When you bring in those bags, and what do I mean by bags? You know,
Different things that happened to you in your past, things that maybe you went through in the relationship with the person you're with and you haven't let go, you haven't forgiven them. Maybe something that happened to you as a child that you brought into the relationship without dealing with it or even knowing that it was there. Just something heavy that's from the past that you got to carry around with you.
And those events happen. When those events happen, they set a precedence in your mind.
Right.
So your perspective is based off of what you've been through. So you're a product of your experience. You're a product of your past. And so if your past wasn't that good, you're making decisions today based off of what happened yesterday. And those are called bags. Those decisions are based off of dirty bags, dirty laundry that hasn't been addressed. You need to wash that out of your life, or else everything that is produced from there is being produced and cleansed out of dirty water.
Right. And I also want to say, just to go off of what Tim was saying, everything in your past isn't always bad. You know, it might have happened, it might have hurt you, but some type of way there's something positive in there. I learned throughout all the many years, things that always seem bad it's something good, but because you're dwelling on the negative so much, you can't see the good in it. And there's some things you can bring in your relationship that's good if you can flip it and actually forgive whatever it was, or you know, just be able to heal from whatever it was, and you can move forward.
Yeah. So we're gonna give you 5 tips to help you address the past, help you to deal with your bags. 5 things that you can do to deal with your bags.
Ooh.
Number one
would be identifying that you have baggage.
Identify the bags.
Right. Because I noticed when me and Tim got together, you know, I did a lot of things that probably was very unique, you know, for Tim. But it wasn't. It was just I didn't know that I had all those bags back there, so I had no clue. So I wasn't able to identify them.
You can't fix anything that you don't know that's there.
Right.
That's not. If you're in denial that these things are there, then you're going to keep operating out of those same habits, right?
Mm-hmm.
So first, number one thing, identify. It's the recognition that that what I'm doing, the habits that I have, they're affecting my marriage. They're affecting my life, and if I don't deal with it, then I'm going to continue to get bad results. So you got to recognize why you do what you do. Like, why am I doing this? Why do I scream? Why do I yell? Where is this coming from?
And that would be number 2. Looking for the source, the why. Why am I doing the things that I'm doing? Why am I yelling at you? Why do I want to fight you? Why do I want to hit you? You know, that'll be number 2. And then the third one would be,
you know, for us, that was an important piece, because we could have we've argued a lot. That was our thing. We argued and yelled at each other a lot, and we could have continued doing that. And so we had to first recognize that arguing wasn't the best way for us. Like, we're not going to get to where we want to be if we argue. So how do we change that? And so when we started searching, like, why do we argue? Because we can't just say, okay, I'm going to stop arguing, I'm going to change who I am, without understanding why I am who I am. And it was like, we came from broken homes. We came from places where we witnessed arguing and yelling as the norm. And so when we found that out, it was like, okay, man, I haven't dealt with that. Like, I considered that as my norm, like it was okay.
right? Or even in our culture, you know, a lot of people in our culture, you know, we kind of think that that's cool, especially being young. I was 15, he was 18, you know, and that's all we seen our friends doing. That's all we seen everybody around us doing. So we thought it was a norm.
Yeah. So understand it. So recognizing that is an issue, and then search for where it's coming from. And then after you understand where it's coming from, that you recognize that it's an issue, you understand where it's coming from, it's time to seek closure.
Right.
You got to close some of the things that cause you to be. You're an evolving person. It's okay to change. It's okay to be better. to do better, to be a better husband, to be a better wife. And in order to do that, you got to close the chapter to the book where you was not performing to the best of your ability. Close that chapter. Open up a new chapter where you can actually start experiencing life to the fullest, and that takes you being a better person. And there's two types of closure. There's an internal closure where I say, listen, inside of me, there were some things that were wrong, that I'm doing wrong, that I'm just going to make right. I'm making a conscious decision to change my life. But then there's external closure, where there were some people involved that I need to forgive. And that's how you close the door when the external people are in the picture, that I forgive what you did to me, and I'm not going to allow that to hold a weight on me going into my future. I forgive you, and I'm going to move on. But closure is important in order to deal with your excess baggage that you have brought into this relationship. And then number 4, communicate the challenge to your spouse.
I think that's a very important one because I know for me, I would run away from Tim. I would isolate myself. I would shut Tim out. And I knew that I was having these challenges. I knew I had these baggage, but I never shared with Tim. I didn't open up to Tim. So therefore, Tim had no clue what was going on with me. You know, he thought it was him, or he thought, you know, it would make him want to give up or, you know, not try because he was like, what's the point? You know, and it had nothing to do with him. It was me. So I had to, like, once I went through the stages in my mind, I had to sit down with him and communicate with him and let him know what was going on with me and why I was doing certain things I was doing, whether they was wrong or right. You know, just an explanation so he could understand where I was coming from as a person.
Yeah, and a lot of times we'll take the excess baggage that your spouse brings into the relationship. We'll say that that's just you. Yeah. So I would say that's just SeMonne being SeMonne, or she'd be like, that's just Tim being Tim. And so when I decide, or she decides to change and get rid of those bags and all of that excess fat in the relationship, then it's important to communicate that to each other, that that's not me no more. Right? You got to adjust to this new transformation that I'm going through. I'm not that same person. And you got to have that open communication so that you can assist one another that it's time to change, that change is on the horizon, that things are getting better, that we're moving and we're growing and maturing together.
I'm smiling because I'm thinking about, flashback, Yeah. I kept saying to Tim, I'm not that person anymore, but you had no clue what was going on, what was changing in my life, but I kept trying to tell him, like, he keep trying to hold me to be this person that I'm not. And it's like, but because I shut down on him and I didn't communicate, he had no clue what I was talking about, Yeah.
And then number 5 is that you went through these 4 steps that we've given you. Number 5 is more about setting up a plan to stay committed to who you're changing into. That it's one thing to say that I'm a different person. It's another thing to have a plan to say this is what I'm now going to be able to do. These habits, like if I say I'm going to stop yelling at my wife, I'm not going to yell and raise my voice at my wife. I could say that, but then I got to set up a plan. Like, what am I going to do in place of that? I'm going to take this away. What am I going to put in place of that? How am I going to talk now? There has to be a clear plan to address it, because if not, in the heat of the moment, you'll just resort back to your comfort zone, who you were in the past. And we don't want to resort back to that because we know the results that we're getting from it. So in order to do that, a clear plan says that this is what I'm going to do if this happens. This is what I'm committed to. This is the mission of the new person that I'm becoming. And this is the help that I need from my spouse to provide for me. And let's follow that plan. If we get off track, we have a baseline to go back to.
Right. And to make it a short-term plan. We don't try to get all your baggage and deal with all of it at one time. Just deal with one at a time. Just take one step at a time. By the time a year from now, you'll be a whole nother place. Don't try to do everything at once. Recognizing it all is okay. Just take one thing at a time and be patient with yourself, be patient with your spouse, and be open and honest.
All right. So until next time.